So now you're here again, knocking at my door. A little too late for, I'm sorry for. The lights went out cause you kept cutting the cord, and I started to fade into your grey.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so sorry that I've been so MIA on YouTube. I have had a bit of like a lull and I've been really unmotivated and uninspired to put up any content, and I didn't want to just put up anything. I wanted to make sure the content was good. So that is why I haven't been as active on YouTube, but I am feeling so much better now and I'm back into the swing of things, and I've been back into the kitchen creating delicious recipes to share with you guys. So I wanted to jump straight into a recipe today and share with you my healthy cherry ripe bar recipe. And oh my gosh guys, this is such a good recipe. You don't need a blender or anything, so it's super easy, super simple, super delicious, super healthy, and yeah, really good. So let's jump straight into the recipe. So we're going to start with a small saucepan, and to this I'm going to be adding in 1.5 cups of frozen pitted cherries. So I just get these from my local supermarket, but if you don't have access to those, you can just use normal cherries, but just make sure that they're pitted. I then have a 1/4 cup of coconut flour. So this is really going to help the bars bind together, especially when you add some liquid. I then have 1 heaped cup of coconut. So I use a mixture of shredded and desiccated coconut because I love the texture that this creates in these bars. I then have 2 tablespoons of pure maple syrup, and if you're a sweet tooth like me, you can go ahead and add 1/3 if you'd like. We then have 3 tablespoons of melted coconut oil. And the final ingredient is actually the Morlife Antiox Beauty Collagen. So we have 1 heaped tablespoon of this, and this powder is actually amazing for healthy hair, skin and nails, as it is packed full of antioxidants such as vitamin C, vitamin A and zinc. It also creates a really nice berry flavor in this dish, which is why I love using it. So once all of the ingredients are in the saucepan, you're just going to put it on the stove over a medium to low heat. And make sure you don't leave this one because it will turn very fast. So I like to just take a spoon and just keep stirring occasionally just to help all of the ingredients combine thoroughly. And then once you can see that things are moving quite well, I like to just take a potato masher and just mash all of the ingredients together. And this is going to give us that amazing cherry ripe texture that we're looking for. So to me, this is absolutely perfect, and this is exactly how yours should look as well. So all I'm going to do is just take a baking tray and add in some baking paper. So my little trick with this one is just to give it a good scrunch and then to put it into your baking tray. It will go in much easier this way, I promise you. And then we're just going to take our cherry ripe mixture and press it firmly into our baking tray. So you want to make sure it's pressed firmly so that when it does set, it all sticks together nicely. So the tray I'm using is just a regular slice dish, but if you don't have one of these, you can just use whatever you have at home. Just be aware that your bars might be slightly thicker or thinner depending on how far out you spread them. So then once everything is nice and evenly spread out, we're just going to set this one in the freezer for around an hour or until it's firm. So it's now time to make the chocolate. So in a bowl, I'm going to add in 1/2 cup of melted coconut oil, and make sure yours is melted, otherwise it's going to be extremely hard for you. We've then got 1/2 cup of pure maple syrup. You can use any liquid sweetener that you have. So you can also use rice malt syrup or honey, but I just love the taste of maple syrup, so that's what I'm using. I then have 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla essence. If you have vanilla powder, feel free to use that as well. Just any type of vanilla works amazing in this chocolate. And then we're just going to give that a nice stir to help the sweetener and the coconut oil combine. Then to the bowl, I'm going to be adding in 1/2 cup of the Morlife cacao powder. Now this cacao powder is my absolute favorite. I always use this in all of my dishes. And I just love the chocolate flavor that this one provides. It is so rich and delicious. It is my absolute favorite, my 100% go-to. So I cannot recommend this cacao enough. So as you can see, I separated the cacao into 2 different lots. That was just purely because I didn't want half of it to fall out of the bowl when I was stirring it in. So just keep stirring until your chocolate is nice, thick and glossy, and as long as it coats the back of a spoon, you're good to go. So after roughly an hour in the freezer, I've taken out the cherry ripe layer and I'm just going to put that on a board and start cutting it into my desired sized bars. So I ended up with 18 bars and these were the perfect size in my opinion, so I would definitely recommend cutting yours the same size. So just take each individual bar and what you want to do is grab yourself 2 forks and one of the cherry ripe bars, and you're just going to put that into the chocolate layer and use the forks to soak it in the chocolate. Be very generous with this layer because the chocolate coating is delicious. So all you're going to do now is just continue this step until all of the bars are covered in chocolate, and just make sure that you're being very, very gentle with the bars because you don't want any of them to break apart. And then after a few minutes, your bars are good to go back into the freezer to set for a little bit longer. Okay, and with your leftover chocolate, do not throw this one away. Grab yourself your baking tray and a little bit more baking paper. And what you want to do is just pour the remaining chocolate into the tray. And then we're going to set this one in the freezer for about 15 minutes until it's rock hard. This is going to create a very quick, simple and delicious chocolate block. So I actually do this quite often, especially when I'm craving chocolate but not wanting to have anything nasty from the shops. So I just whip up a quick little batch of the chocolate layer and set it in the freezer, and I have chocolate ready to go. So then after about half an hour in the freezer again, your bars should be ready to go. So you'll notice that when you snap them apart, the chocolate is nice and crunchy and the inside layer has set. And that is how to make cherry ripe bars. So I just like to obviously put mine on a nice plate to take a nice photo. And then once I've done that, I just store it in an airtight container and keep them in the freezer, as this will help them last a lot longer. Unless you're like me and have zero self-control when it comes to sweet treats. So that is the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. It was a little bit different, but it's definitely worth giving a try, especially with Christmas coming up and all the cherries that are out in season at the moment as well. So make sure you tag me in all of your recreations because I do love seeing those. And also don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my next video. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!
So now you're here again, knocking at my door.